So we're learning today Halachot of Bet Knesset, Halachot of Shul book. And as I said beforehand, I have in Hebrew, I have a series of short videos. Each one is about 3 minutes. Good evening. And now we're learning Halachot of Birkot Torah, the blessing we say before learning Torah. So if you want to practice your Hebrew, you can just join the subscribe, and then you can get the 3 minute halacha a day. Okay, so we learned the halachot of a Beit Knesset, halachot of Shul. Since we never learned it, I think we had the shir already for 3 years, right? 3 years, I think, and we never learned the halachot of Shul. Most of us don't so much meet the questions of shuls, so we won't learn all of the halachot of shuls. For example, when's the last time you met a community that moved an area and then they had to sell the shul to someone else? Doesn't happen so much, for sure not in Israel. Last year in Memphis, so the one of the shuls closed down and joined a different shul. So there was the halachot that were very practical. And then, what do you do with the biman? What do you do with the Aron Kodesh? And the Aron Kodesh had, I think, a name of Hashem on it, Hashem and you of Yud and Hey and the Vav and the Hey, which I think, in generally speaking, it's not a good idea for an Aron Kodesh to have. Just for the fact, think of it when you take a picture in a Brit or Bar Mitzvah, and now you're stuck at home with a picture with Shem Hashem on the picture. But since none of us here designs shuls, so also that question isn't so practical for us, right? So we will just touch some of the halachot of Beit Knesset, which are important. I mean, important for us. All the halachot are important. Halachot which are important for us. Halachot Beit Knesset start in Siman Kuf Nun 150 after Shacharit, after Sefer Torah. So then Shulchan Aruch brings the halachot of Beit Knesset. The first halacha, maybe it's not so relevant for us, but it's important to know it. Says the Shulchan Aruch, כופין בני העיר זה את זה, לבנות בית הכנסת ולקנות להם תורה, נביאים וכתובים. Which means the people of a city can force each other to build a shul and to buy Torah. Nevi'im and Ketuvim, in those days they used to learn. So a basic need for a community is a shul. That's a basic need for a community. One of my in-laws, they moved years ago. They moved to a small yishuv in the Shomron, and one of the terms when they moved there, that each family moving or buying a place in that yishuv had to put down not quite a nice amount of money to build a shul. So that could be practical for a place like that. Today, usually, unless you're moving to a new place, you don't find it so much because most places have a shul, but you can see how important it is for a city, for a community to have a shul. And although maybe it's not so we are building shuls now, I find that halacha super relevant, especially after, now we're already a few weeks after, but after Sha'agat Ha'ari, and a year beforehand, after, what was it, before Sha'agat Ha'ari with Iran, Am Kelavi, and then we had COVID a few years ago. All those things got people out of the shuls to daven in house minyanim and to daven in somewhere else, not in a shul. Now, Baruch Hashem, we are able to go back. So we should go back to shul and make sure that, I'm not sure if those street minyanim still exist, but if it's important for a community to have a shul, that's a place. It's set for davening. It's not a corner in the street. It's not someone's backyard. That's a place where a community combines together. It has aspects of kedusha in it. It's a mikdash me'at. It's a hint of Beit HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple. So it's important to have a shul. And so when we go to shul, we every day, we are in some aspect fulfilling that halacha of making sure we have a shul that is a center of the community. That's the Halacha of Shul. Halacha of Shul, I'll just mention as a question without going into it. The Shulchan Aruch, based on the Gemara, writes that the shul needs to be in the highest place of the city, and there shouldn't be any other building higher or taller, okay, than the shul.
This is the upshul.
Yeah, you could.
That's the upshul. Yeah, so here we call it upshul.
You did, okay.
What do we do today? What do we do here today? There's different questions in the halacha where when you build something tall in the shul, that will be part of the shul, and then the shul will be higher than the rest of the cities. And good question. When you have today skyscrapers, I don't think we want to have a shul on the top floor of a building it will be, right? We want it to be in a place where you can reach it easily without getting into. So that's a question. We won't go into it now. The main siman we'll be learning is Kuf Nun Aleph. Okay, Kuf Nun Aleph. The topic of it is Kedushat Dinei Kedushat Beit HaKnesset. The halachot of the holy place of the Kedusha in a shul. Okay, so that's the Kedushat Beit HaKnesset. As we mentioned, a shul is in some aspect like Beit HaMikdash. You go to the Kotel. I had a question. I asked my rabbi. I go to the Kotel. In the olden days, I used to like to take pictures. I used to have a hobby of taking pictures. Today I also take pictures, not as much, but I used to take. So you go to the Kotel, and if you look at the eye in the eyes of a photographer, there's quite a few pictures you can take there. Right? You can see people. A picture that I can take is a Haredi guy and a soldier, both of them touching the Kotel. Or sometimes you can see one next to each other, even just naturally. Haredi, Chiloni, Dati Leumi, soldier, all of that together. The Kotel unites people. Or there's those birds, the pigeons or doves. I'm not sure what birds they are exactly who fly the Kotel. So Chazal write that Am Yisrael or Knesset Yisrael is like a dove. It's hidden in a dove. So it's a symbolic. Something symbolic in the doves at the Kotel. There's all those notes that people put in the Kotel. No halachically based for it, but people still do it, right? Because people do it. So it's something nice. If you look at this interesting angle, you can see like a ton of notes, depending how you put the camera. So many interesting pictures you can take at the Kotel. So I asked my rab, 1 second, can I take pictures at the Kotel? And some of the pictures, the good ones, you have to really get close to the Kotel. You can't just stand far behind. And he said to me, look, if you come to Davin, and also you take pictures, so it's fine. It's fine. But that's the question. Okay, can you take...
What's the question?
Can you come to the Kotel and take pictures at the Kotel? Okay, why? Because you're treating it not as a shul, you're treating it more of a hobby, an area where it's interesting elements there. It's not a shul. I'm just coming there for the interest of it. Okay.
What was it down there? Then you can take pictures.
Well,
Maybe more of a.
showing respect.
Okay,
to
so
it.
he said if you show respect, so it's fine. More of a question. What about talking in shul? Unfortunately, it's a question which we face a lot. I had a friend in the base about years ago that even if I had from a question which was important, even if it was connected somehow to halacha or to Shabbat or something important which was connected to Judaism, he said, out of the shul. Walked out of the shul and then answered me. Even I said, it's a halachic question. What do you want? No, because then people won't know. People see me talking in shul, and then they will also talk in shul. So that's one of the topics we'll be discussing now. Some of the halachot here aren't so relevant for today, just because the way the shuls are built. Can you spit in shul? All the times the shul had sand, the floor was sand. Okay, so spitting on sand, it's easier because you just cover it with sand. Today it's different. Okay, so let's start the beginning of Kuf Nun Aleph. Batei Knesiyot ubatei midrashot. How do we show respect to a shul? So the first thing is what you don't do. Okay, the obvious thing is what you don't do. Ein nohagim behen kalut rosh. And here I'll need your translation of English. What is kalut rosh?
Lightheadedness.
Lightheadedness, that you actually translate it literally?
No, it's frivolous.
I can open Shulchan Aruch in English.
No, and even levity.
Levity. Okay, levity. Okay, so in shul, okay. Now I feel good if
So
I'm not the only one who's struggling with the English, so I'm fine. So in shuls, shouldn't have levity in shuls. What does that mean? Okay, כגון שחוק והיתול ושיחה בטלה. He brings here three examples. Schok is laughter. We are having a play in shul. We had a question many times when we had the Purim spill. Can you do it or can't do it in shul? So here it's more for Purim. It's for teaching. With reading the Megillah, it's telling the story of the kids. So here you can find a heter, a kula for it, since the whole purpose of the jokes would be to have you on Purim. It's not just to make fun, it's because we want to teach the kids the Megillah. And the way we teach it is make it fun. Okay, so that's fine. But just having a show in shul. Can you have a show? Can you see a film in shul? Cover the Aron Kodesh, bring a projector, and see a film in shul. And I'm not talking about a film about of Mechon HaMikdash, of building the menorah, of finding the ark. I'm
When
talking
you
about
say shul, are you talking specifically about the room where the Aron is?
I'm talking about the room.
Any room in the
So
shul?
that's a good question. This room where we are now, although it's a learning room, okay, we don't treat it so much as a learning room. It was never considered to be a learning room, a study. It was not a Beit Midrash. It's a room which people also learn, but it's also made for activities. So this room from the beginning, it's also made for activities. So here we can show a film. But the shul, the main part of the shul that was built in the mind of that should be a shul. So the main part, the sanctuary, okay, the main part of the shul. So schok. Hitul is also very similar to schok, which is also like joking. And he says sicha betela, probably the hardest halacha. Sicha betela means talking with no need. We'll see later that you can talk for mitzvah in shul, which sounds obvious, but also we can talk in shul for needs of the community. So chei rabim, when we are trying to help the community, so that has also some aspect of a mitzvah in it when we help the community. So or the whole so that you can do in shul. Okay, for example, there's between the war, can you have a meeting in the shul about how now do we help the community cope with the emotion things about the war? That has an aspect of a mitzvah in it, so you can do it in shul. Ein ochlim veshotim bahem. You don't eat and drink in a shul. Also brings us a question. 1 second. We do eat and drink in a shul. We will get to it, hopefully today also. ולא מתקשטים בהם, you don't now use the place to get dressed up. ולא מטיילים בהם, you don't go to a place of shul, look at this beautiful shul. You don't treat it as a place. I am now not here to learn, I'm not here to daven. I'm here to look at the amazing architecture they have here, the windows they have. I'm here just to take a picture of the Chagall windows, right? One of the shuls in Jerusalem. I think it's in Hadassah, right? Hadassah. Yeah, has beautiful windows, Chagall windows there. Yeah, I went to Daven there, and I knew about the Chagall windows. I forgot that they're in Hadassah. All of a sudden, I see, wow, look at that shul, or the Sifriya Leumit, the National Library. It has a very nice shul. If you go there to Daven, on the way you see the nice, wow, look at the nice shul, and that's fine. But if you go there just to take a picture of the Aron Kodesh, and one is treating the shul as a place which it's more for the architect or more for whatever. Continues more. ולא נכנסים בהם בחמה מפני החמה ובגשמים מפני הגשמים. If you're outside in מעלה אדומים. It's summer, so it is 37 degrees. If we're Americans, so that's about 100 degrees, right? Fahrenheit, more or less. I think it's hot outside. And just next to you have a shul, say, wow, there's an air conditioner there. I have a trick. Let's go in shul just to enjoy the air conditioner. Oh, it's raining outside. Let's go in shul to get protected from the rain. So one can't do that also. So we'll see, okay, so when can you do it? Okay, so I can't enjoy the air conditioner in shul. What is that? Okay, so all these things, and there's a few more examples here, but these are the common examples, examples of levity in shul, which means not treating the shul like in a holy and respectful place. Now, if we go now to Beit HaMikdash, Bezrat Hashem, we build, obviously, Beit HaMikdash, we'll have the all, we'll respect it. The same attitude we should have for a shul. Okay, now that brings us a question. Some of the things we do, and that's maybe we'll have a whole topic next week for tonight. Okay, that's really a whole topic. At tonight, can I build a shul? And that's we'll keep for next week. Can I build a shul with the condition that whatever I want to do in the shul, I can do in the shul. I can eat in shul, I can drink in shul. Can we build a shul with a condition like that? That will keep for next week. Okay, that's a Hlachot of Shul. Very interesting topic. We'll leave it for next week. Next, ask question: what do I do? What do I do? Our shul, for example, has 2 doors or a few doors. Let's say you want to cut through the shul. You can't cut through the shul. You can't. So what do? Many shuls have two entrances to the shul, and sometimes it's easier to cut through when one of the schools that I taught.
That's what I just did. I walked into one entrance.
But you went from the corridor. You didn't go through the shul itself.
Correct.
Okay, so that's fine.
That's okay.
That's okay. Okay. I'm talking about the side door. The side door that. Okay, so. One of the places that I taught, there's a Beit Midrash, and to get to the building of the school, you have to go through the Beit Midrash and into the main building. So you have to go for the Beit Midrash. That's the way. Every time I used to go in there, and that's the halacha. Okay, that's the option. If you go into a shul and you want to cut through, so a few options. Learn something. Learn something in it, a pasuk, a mishnah, or something. Learn something. Now. And if you don't know to learn, today usually people know how to learn a mishnah, a pasuk or something. Sit down for a few moments, because even sitting down in shul, just for the absorbing the atmosphere of shul, the kedusha of shul, even that is considered a mitzvah. So every time I had to go to the building, to the school building, I used to open the Midrash, sit down for a few minutes, for a few seconds, learn a pasuk, and then continue. I think it was Monday. There was a teacher, in the afternoon, there was a teacher who was a wife of a rabbi. And then after a few times, she said, I realized why every time you come she used to teach in the Beit Midrash for some reason. Every time you come in the middle of my class, I know why you sit down and then you continue on. Because that way we aren't turning the shul into that's a good way to cut through. That's a place where we show respect to a shul, and we can learn something small and cut through a shul. I don't think we see it so often of cutting through a shul. Sometimes we see it maybe on Shabbat if there's a kiddush and someone wants to go from behind the shul to the front of the shul, so they cut through the shul. If you go to play Shmuel and you want to go to the library, but you don't go in from the main entrance, you go in from the side, you cut through the shul and go to the library, right? So that's an option of cutting through a shul, and that we shouldn't do unless sit down, say a little pasuk, a mishnah or something, and then you can continue. What about talking in shul? Since talking in shul is a problem, we should try not to talk in shul. It's a problem. We should try not to talk in shul. What happens if you need to go in because of the sun or because of the rain? So the same thing. If you are going to the shul, so make sure sit down in shul and use the time you have in shul to learn something. Open a mishnah, open a gemara, open a chumash, and read something. And then the fact somebody is moving to the shul because of the sun or because of the rain, he's moving to the shul. He wants to learn something, and it's easier to learn if it's not raining. There's a story about Amoraim, 2 rabbis in the Gemara, who were learning with each other. It started raining, and I said, we need to move into the Beit Midrash. And the reason we're doing it because it's hard to learn in the rain. So we need to concentrate. So they moved into a shul. But you can see how how Chazal were concerned about respecting a shul.
Why weren't they learning in the shul at the beginning?
I'm not sure why they were learning in shul in the beginning. I'm not sure why. I don't know. There wasn't any air conditioning in those days.
Right?
What?
Would have been better to learn
I
in
think
the
for
shul.
but I'm not sure why. But many times he used to learn out of the shul, maybe because of the air. Okay, That's what he used to do. Okay. I'm skipping the halachot of eating in shul, because that, B'ezrat Hashem, we will learn next week. We'll expand about it. Can we eat in shul? Can you do a kiddush in shul? Okay, that's what about Seuda Shlishit? The Shulchan Aruch brings here an opinion, and that's also relevant, quite relevant to us, that when we talk about Kedusha, holiness in a shul, it's a shul which belongs to a community and not to a private person. Okay, so only a shul of a community and not a private person. A shul of a private person doesn't have so much Kedusha in it. It connects to what we mentioned beforehand. When we have a private minyanim in the backyard, even if someone made it into a shul in his backyard and he put grass or put a shade cloth above so people can daven there, and he makes it to a shul, it doesn't have the same importance and kedusha of a shul, because it's a private, it belongs to a private person. He can change it whenever he wants to. So that
Some of the major steebles are owned by a specific person. And they can be rather big.
it could be, yeah, there could be. I'm not sure they're owned by a person.
No, there are some. I mean,
Okay.
not all, but I know that
Here we're talking about shul. It's I'll read the Shulchan Aruch. יחיד הקובע מדרש בביתו לצורכו. It's actually talking more about a bit midrash, not a shul. He has a room in his house, a learning study. Okay, that doesn't have a kedusha of a beit midrash. Although he learns there, it doesn't have so much a kedusha of a beit midrash. You have some people have in the house a learning room. Okay, so that's it seems like the same thing will be with a shul of a community. There's more importance for where everyone can come in, everyone can go. That has more of importance of a shul. Which I'll mention here a bit. We won't go into it too much. The Shulchan Aruch brings an opinion that you can't go into a shul with a long knife. With a long knife. Why? A long knife is used for killing, and the shul is supposed to be a place for davening, and davening should extend the life of people, while a knife is supposed to be something which cuts the life short, right? So sample schemes, a long knife, not a eating knife.
Come on, we're living in, today's day and age, and all the guys coming in with M16.
And okay, that's exactly why I brought it. Okay, that's exactly why I brought it. Okay, can you come to shul with M16 or with a rifle?
Tell the
Okay,
guy carrying the M16,
okay.
no.
So it's a question. Now the answer is then yes. Of course, you can come to shul with a gun. Okay, and the reason you can come to shul with a gun because you want the gun to be with you to protect people on the shul. Unfortunately, we prefer that we won't have to carry it on us and to be at home and lock it and give it back to the army. But unfortunately, we need to have it. So obviously that is permitted. I just brought it that because to show the contradiction between the way we live now and in the past. But also, you can't just leave the M16 in the entrance to a shul because you have to have it on you all the time. It's not safe to leave it in the entrance of the shul.
Yeah, there was no time in Jewish history where Jews were safe.
Right, but even if you have a sword, you can just keep it in the entrance of shul. You can't.
Then you're not there. It's not.
Until something happens, and you can run and just get it and go. Today you can't because you have to. You can't just leave your gun. Okay, put it in the entrance of shul. Okay, but that's
I understand that.
yeah.
Hold
That's
on
that's
until I get my
yeah,
sword. And
yeah.
then we can
So you can because until
discuss
people come, it takes time. For guns, it's much you need to respond much faster than in the past.
Okay.
One last halacha before, and then we'll go down. We mentioned that you can't cut through the shul and come in, let's say, from the right side and go out from the left side. There's an interesting hlachot between the Shulchan Aruch and the Rama. It's based on a pasuk, but if one came in, let's say, from the shul has two entrances. One came in the shul from the right entrance. Obviously, he's allowed to go out from shul from the left entrance because he didn't come into shul to cut through. He came in to daven, right? So obviously, he can come out from the left entrance. The question is a mitzvah, is it preferable to come in from, let's say, one of the entrance and leave from the left entrance? According to Shulchan Aruch, you can, but you don't need to. You can. According to the Rama, it's even, I think it's the Rama. So, sorry, the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah brings it, not the Rama. It's a mitzvah. Okay, it's a mitzvah to go out, coming from one entrance, if a shul has two entrances, and go out from another entrance. And it's based on a pasuk, and it said, when people used to come to Bet Mikdash, they used to come in from the people who came in from the north left from the south, and people coming from the south left from the north. I thought in a symbolic meaning to it, when one comes to shul, he needs to feel that something happened. I'm a different person. I'm in a different state after I davened. So a symbolic way of showing that I'm in a different state. I came in from one side and I'm coming out from a different door. I'm in a different state. Obviously, if there's one door, so coming from the same door, don't jump out from the window, okay? But if one can go out from a different door, it shows, okay, something here changed in me in the tefillah, and it's symbolic in the way I'm living. As Hashem will be continued
Thank you very much.
next time.
She's fine.
Just